So welcome to Newstead, everyone. Today's object is this rather fearsome looking dog collar. It's an adjustable dog collar, as you can see from the back here, and it was made for Lord Byron. We have it here engraved with his name and also the name of the maker, W.C. Ellis at Mansfield. Byron was a big animal lover, and he usually had a fairly diverse menagerie of animals with him wherever he lived. We have an account from Percy Shelley, the poet, of visiting Byron in Ravenna, Italy, and of all the animals that Byron had there, which had, according to Shelley, the freedom of the house, which means they were just wandering around, everything except the horses, apparently. According to Shelley, Byron had 10 horses, 8 enormous dogs, 3 monkeys, 5 cats, an eagle, a falcon, a crow, 5 peacocks, 2 guinea hens, and an Egyptian crane. Now, Newstead was no exception to this rule, and he had a number of animals here as well. Many of them were kept in the chapel downstairs off the cloisters, which you can still visit today. He had a bear called Brun that he had acquired in 1807 when he was at Cambridge. He had 3 tortoises that he'd brought back with him from Greece, and he tells us in one letter that he had bought a hen to sit on their eggs for them. Probably a joke, but who knows with Byron. He also had a hedgehog and a number of dogs. Now, dogs were arguably his favourite animals, and he had them all through his life, and his letters ring with their names: Savage, Smut, Mutz, Bran, and of course his 2 most famous dogs, his wolf dog and Boatswain, which he often refers to as a Newfoundland, but that's more a reference to the supposed place of origin than the breed. So Byron's friend Charles Skinner Matthews tells us a slightly alarming story about visiting Newstead. Now, in Byron's day, the entrance was slightly different. There was an external staircase up into the Great Hall. And Charles Skinner Matthews warns visitors, saying, should you make any blunder, should you step to the right of the staircase, you are laid hold of by a bear. And should you step to the left, you're in an even worse case, because you'll run full up against a wolf. Now, even if you manage to survive this gamut of wild animals, he says, you're still in danger. You might be shot, because the Great Hall is where Byron practices with his pistols. Now, Boatswain is perhaps the most famous of Byron's pets, and certainly one of his favourites. He remained a model of canine perfection for Byron throughout his life. And Byron was sincerely attached to Boatswain. At Boatswain's death, he buried him at the grounds here at Newstead, erected a memorial, and wrote a quite famous and very touching poem to his firmest friend. We also know from his 1811 will, which we looked at in the first Object of the Month video, that Byron wished to be buried with Boatswain. Boatswain's death occurred in 1808, and it was somewhat unexpected because Boatswain was infected with rabies, but he remained devoted to his master to the end. Byron, in a letter to his friend, said, Boatswain expired in a state of madness on the 10th, after much suffering, but he retained all the gentleness of his nature to the last, never attempting the least injury to anyone near him. Byron's friend Thomas Moore further tells us that Byron was so unaware of the malady at the time that with his own hands, with his bare hands, he more than once wiped the slather from Boatswain's mouth himself, and still Boatswain never attacked him. There was a great love here between man and dog, and it was, I think, reciprocal. So it's often thought that this collar was used with Boatswain, but we can't be sure. What it does tell us, though, is something about the way Byron looked after, cared for, and treated his dogs, and also more broadly about his lifelong love of dogs and other animals.